Good evening, guys, and happy Wednesday to all of your sunshiny faces. And my, oh my, guys, I need to get to bed. I did not realize how late it was right now. I was actually going back and watching some old vlogs from when Matthew's birthday years back, because I was like, I don't remember. Honestly, a lot of the birthdays that I thought were his birthdays in the vlogs, actually I think were my dad's birthdays. And he is like always messing with the lighters or candles on people's birthday cakes, and I always thought he did it on his own birthday, and apparently he doesn't, at least not the 3 birthdays that I watched. And then I went, oh my gosh, guys, it is almost 2 in the morning, and I literally was ready for bed at 11:30 and was just wrapping up some of my things. I finished my German lesson. Like I said, I was getting all this stuff together, and I was like, oh, you know what I haven't seen in a while? Like I was saying, was there's some older vlogs, and so I was watching those and went, yeah, now it's 2 in the morning. And on top of that too, I was telling you guys I was going through some of my old couponing videos and hauls and all of those type of things. And I've been going over that stuff and realized there were old videos in there where I was talking about vlogging, and then I was like, oh yeah, I don't even remember, like I started vlogging officially, I guess. Started vlogging on this channel I think on 2013, and then started like I didn't start posting regularly though, I think until 2015, like consistently. But I do have like some really early videos. I don't know why, guys, I have been in such the throwback mood for so long, like for the last couple of weeks now, and I feel like everything I've been talking about has been all about like, oh yeah, back in this time, and I used to do this stuff, and like all kinds of things. And so yeah, I don't know why I've just been talking about all that kind of stuff. But I think I was telling you guys too how I was like, oh my gosh, watching some of those really old couponing videos, the quality of the camera was like horrendous. I got the camera that I first started recording on as a 8th grade graduation present. I graduated 8th grade in 2010, so that's how old that camera was. That 11 years old. And I recorded on it up until 2013, and then, or no, yeah, 2013, and then in 2013 was when I got my iPad. I started recording on that, and then 2015, once I started vlogging consistently, was when I got my first camera. Then I don't know how old this camera is that I'm using, but it's the G7X. I think it's Mark II. Right? Yeah, because it's not Mark 1. I just don't know. It doesn't say anywhere on here. But I know it's not, I don't think it's the 3rd one, because I think there's 3, and I know that it's definitely not the 3rd one, but I also don't think that it's the 1st one. But I thought that it was supposed to have, so I'm like looking on here, where does it say that? Like, yeah, no, it's not the 1st one either, because the 1st one was real cheap. The 2nd one was not cheap, and then I heard a lot of people say that the 3rd one was really bad, and so a lot of people that bought the 3rd one actually went back and rebought the 2nd one again, because they thought that was actually better than the I'm even looking on the lens seeing what it says. What's it called, that they went back and bought actually the 2nd one because it was better than the 3rd one. Like this, the what's it called, the autofocus feature is not as good, I guess, or it's like really wonky or weird or something like that. I don't know, I don't have it. I have the 2nd one, and I think and it works really well. But anyways, guys, so I was talking about my really old videos that I posted, and I was saying how like, oh my gosh, they're like cringeworthy. I was like, how I like literally would speak to the camera, and even too, like not just like, oh, I'm more comfortable talking around like a camera or like that kind of stuff. I just feel like it's actually seeing your personality completely change, because again, this was my early years, my first was my first year of high school. Yeah, that's when I first started couponing. Was like the late 2nd semester of my, or like the spring, which would have been 2nd semester of my freshman year of high school, was when I first started couponing, and I first started recording also sometime, I believe it was in spring as well. And then, like I said, really officially got started, you know, posting things more regularly that following year. Because I was actually homeschooled my sophomore year of high school then, and then went back to school my junior and senior year of high school. But the one thing that, like I said, I was sort of noticing is just how, like, you know, I think it was just, again, too, like, you know, I was a freshman in high school, that very sort of nervous, sort of, you know, awkward age too, sort of, at the same time. And, like, I don't know, it's just interesting to sort of see too, like, personality. It does sort of, like, it, you know, you change, you grow, that kind of thing too. Because I was like, you know, I don't know, it's easy for, I think, I don't know if it's easy, but, like, I've noticed too, I was like, you know, Jack, you know, you kind of see, like, oh wow, like, you know, he kind of has developed now, you know, he's starting to get a personality. He's not a little kid anymore, you know, he's a freshman, or no, he's not a freshman in high school anymore, he's a sophomore in high school. And so, isn't that right? Yeah. Yes, that is right. I'm trying to think. I was like backtracking. I was like, wait, no, he can't be, because he only went to school for 1 semester before there was COVID, and the last 2 semesters has been COVID. So anyways, guys, he's been e-learning for the last 2 semesters, basically. He's on the 3rd semester now of e-learning. I think that's right. Is that right? I'm just thinking if it's finals. I know he's taken 2 finals now at home worth of stuff. Anyways, so yeah, like I was saying, that you know, like, and I'm like, he's really starting to sort of like develop this sort of personality too, you know. So, you know, and I'm sure he'll only continue to develop a personality, you know, like more unique, personalized personality, you know, the older he gets. Because again, I feel like, honestly, I feel like little kids, you know, elementary school kids, all that kind of stuff, like, they have a personality, but at the same time too, it's like most, you know, I don't want to say they're not individual, but, like, you know, I think once you start to really understand the world maybe a little bit more is when you start to, like, you know, and can make decisions on your own. I think is when and you start to get into that middle school, high school age, is when you start to actually, like, I don't know, like I said, develop your own personalized, you know, personality. Like, you know, you might be a funny kid or more of a quiet, shyer kid or something like that when you're little, but I feel like, again, the things that actually sort of make you, like, and make your personality you is really comes sort of, I think, more in that middle school to high school age stuff, when, again, you are, you know, you have those sort of things that you have to do on your own, and, you know, your responsibilities and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm not saying little kids don't have those things still, but a lot of times I feel like, you know, the high school and middle school age is when you start to really figure out who you are. And, you know, it's that coming of age sort of thing. And so, yeah, I guess that's where I'm going with the whole thing. But, you know, like, Jack to me was always just like a little kid. And again, because we're 10 years apart, you know, that's like how I always saw him. And then finally, like, just recently, within the last, like I said, year or two, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, he's got a personality. Like, you know, he's a little bit more unique in himself, you know, like, and different and stuff like that. And I don't know too, it's different for me to see Matthew, because maybe it is too, like, that age gap, but, like, I was like, I know he's definitely different from who he was in high school to who he is now, but, like, and, like, who he was in high school versus who he was as a little kid, but, like, I don't know, it's weird, like, I don't see that sort of the same as I guess I see Jack, and maybe that's a little bit more of, like, the age difference, but it was easier for me to see that, I guess, in Matthew and in Jack, but seeing it in myself, I never did, until, like I said, I went back and watched some of these old videos, and I was like, I always thought that I sort of, like, you know, maybe the way I think is a little bit different now than the way I thought when I was in high school, but, like, I thought that I was sort of, like, you know, had the same, I guess, like I said, personality, and I'm like, I clearly don't. The things I say now, and like I said, this is pretty authentic when I record videos and stuff like that, and so for me, like, you know, I don't know if it was like me not being authentic, which I don't think it was back then, or if it was just like I was uncomfortable around the camera, which is probably one of the big ones, but also too, like, that wasn't who I really am now, you know, and like I said, only, I mean, I guess that's 10 years later pretty much, almost. Just, I looked at myself, and like I said, I would think back on situations like, oh, I remember like that thing in high school, or you know, or that event or something that happened, or I remember doing that in high school, and like almost thinking like that I would think the same way that I do now, and I'm like, I definitely would have handled that differently, or you know, like that definitely wasn't as big of a problem as I made it into, or you know, like that you know, like I said, the way I acted was just, you know, and like I said, personality wise and thought process wise was different than it is now. But to me, when I think back on it, I feel like, you know, it's not a different me back then than it is now. But watching, like I said, old videos and stuff like that, I'm like, clearly I was definitely a different person than I am now, but I don't see that progression, I guess, if that at all makes sense. And so I don't know, it's kind of weird. And I don't know if I'd noticed that in myself if I hadn't, like I said, really gone back. And like, and I can think of events that happened when I was like little, like, you know, elementary school and stuff like that. And I'm like, clearly, you know, that was, I handled that situation differently than I would now, or I thought about that differently than I probably would now. But like in high school, I feel like I almost think that I would have thought the same way I do now, but then I'm like, I definitely didn't. That was different. My personality was different. I talked differently. I sounded different. You know, the kind of stuff that I would say was different. I was very like, I don't know, high, like my voice sounded higher and higher spoken and stuff like that, and I sounded like all sweet, and I would talk like this and stuff like that, and that's definitely not how I talk. And like, I feel like a little bit of it is just like, you know, it was that uncomfortable, like I didn't talk around the camera and stuff like that all that much, but I slowly, like I said, started to see that, like even within a year or two, like me starting to change a little bit. And like I said, it's sort of weird. And again, going back and watching old vlogs, again, I watched Matthew's birthday in 2015, 2016, and then in 2017, and I was like, oh, these are definitely, like looking at myself in each of those year by year, I was like, I definitely sound different. I you know, act differently, sort of, you know, as a progression. And so like, I don't know, do like even as my parents, you know, do they look back on themselves like last year and think, oh, you know, I handled this differently, or is it just sort of like, I don't know, they say like, oh, your frontal lobe or whatever that is, your decision-making process doesn't actually stop, like, or, you know, like it's fully reached its potential, your whatever, I don't know, one part of your brain until you're like 23 or something like that, or 26, I think it is, something like that. And so I'm like, is that why though? Like, you know, like I said, I look back on things and I'm like, I thought that, you know, I was the same person, and I'm not. You know, but do my parents even too, you know, they're much older than that now. Do they, you know, look back on a situation like a year ago and think, oh, I handled that differently, or I would have done that differently? And like I said, even watching some of the old videos and being like, my dad acted sort of differently, or he says things differently than he does now, or, you know, like he does things differently than he did, like I said, just a couple of years ago. You know, like, do we all sort of like change and evolve like that? Even though we think of ourselves like, you know, as like last year I wasn't really that much of a different person, you know, and it doesn't have to be a big life-changing thing to really change you that much. But I don't know why I'm going into total philosophy type of stuff right now. But you know, like even to just like a whole year, like, you know, you think that this year was pretty much the same as, yeah, last year, the year before that, the year before that, like nothing big happens in your life that drastically changes you, so you think that you're sort of the same, you act the same, you're sort of the same person, but you're like, I'm definitely not. Like, you know, some of the people that I hung around with in middle school or high school, but they still, like, you know, if they saw me today without a mask on because we're in a pandemic, you know, if they actually saw me today and were like, oh, she's definitely a different person than I remember her in high school, or, you know, like in middle school, or, you know, that kind of stuff. Like I said, I didn't really look at myself and was like, oh, I'm that much of a different person, you know, but I feel like I totally am. Like I said, I wouldn't have recognized myself from now to today. Will I recognize myself a year from now, I wonder? Will I still be thinking the same thing or feeling the same way about that? But I don't know. That has like hardly ever been a thing that's really popped into my brain until today, when I was, like I said, watching old videos, and I was like, that's really weird. don't know. I don't know where I went with all this too. It was like totally so far out there too. Like some psychology thing going on here today. Anyways, yeah. I will see you guys. Like I said, I should have been in bed probably a couple hours ago. I might also just be really tired, and your brain wanders when you get really tired. And I went to bed, I woke up, actually I went to bed early last night, woke up really late, and now I'm going to bed really late. We'll see if I get a lot of sleep or only a little sleep tomorrow. Let's see what time I wake up. I have to do my grocery list tomorrow too, and I've got papers all over the place. I am also disorganized, chaotic mess. This last like week and a half, 2 weeks or something like that, I've been just, like I said, all over the place. Stuff has been everywhere. Need to get my things together. I haven't been editing. Like, I've done sporadic loads of dishes and laundry. Like, I have not been on. I'll say what, guys, too? Not used my planner in about 2 weeks. That's probably one of the big problems. I don't know why. Most organized when I use my planner have not done that. This, like I said, last like 2 or so weeks. Also, I have to third, and I have to change my calendar. Today's Matthew's birthday. I think I said that at some point. He came back, gave him his gifts. I showed you guys the gift I got him on Sunday. And so that was literally pretty much it. So yeah, like I said, guys, I think I'm so tired. Matthew's birthday was today, so happy birthday to him. Yeah, he came back, got his presents, did all that stuff. He like came back because they were going to eat somewhere nearby, I think, and so we gave him, well, my parents gave him like 2 gifts that came. They still didn't even have all his gifts, which we were going to give him on Sunday. I had his gift on time. Anyways, so yeah, we did that, and today was his birthday. That's why I was going back and watching the old videos from his past birthdays. But anyways, guys, I'll see you all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give a big old thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshiny faces tomorrow. So bye, guys.